Warning: this stream is for entertainment purposes. The opinions expressed by the participants might be exaggerated for comedic effect. Harsh language can be used. Thought-provoking or controversial topics may be discussed.
Hello everybody and welcome to Tear of Your Skin. Today we're going to talk about Sandbox, and this is a reply basically it's in reaction to a comment that I got on the Monday stream, mystery stream. Some people, I forgot the name now, I'm sorry, but some people was asking oh, why you don't do a Sandbox game for your next 40 game, right? And it kind of left me confused, to be honest, because I was, basically all our game are sandboxes. And then I thought, maybe he means something else. So I said, I'll bring the guy up and let's talk about sandbox and what sandbox would mean basically in 4D, what we call 4D roleplay. I'm joined by Sean from the channel Shauner, Rick from 38mm RPG, and Crispy from channel Table Runner. So thank you guys for joining me. How are you doing?
Yay!
So far, so good.
Excellent. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for joining. So when we think about sandbox, right? Usually, the term gets thrown around a lot, and oftentimes, in the traditional sense, what I hear by a sandbox is the opposite to a railroad, the polar opposite to a railroad. A railroad, you have a story, you got rails, and the GM's telling you a story, and player don't have much agency. When you go to the sandbox, people can do whatever they want, right? They can go wherever they want, and they have the player in charge or where this story is gonna go, right? It's a player-led campaign, but that's basically what we always do. So am I missing something here?
Well, that's how we always do. The 99%ers, when they hear sandbox, they literally think sandbox, and you put your character sheet in the sandbox and you expect magic to just happen.
Yeah,
it's just sand that your character is standing in, and the players don't have goals or motivations for their characters, so they don't know what they're supposed to do in a sandbox, and there's nothing in the sandbox on top of that. That's how they see these things.
What do you think, Rick? What do you see a sandbox as?
Well, I see their interpretation. We're talking 99%. They don't know they don't know how we make our sandbox. So that's the problem. Is they're going on an assumption that they would have to see our session 0. Like where we make stuff up and we create the world together in order for them to understand what a sandbox is. That's, it just takes them to be looking at the session 0. So I guess we'll probably have to explain exactly what we do during our our
that's something
0.
I want to come back to for sure.
Yeah.
Rick, the point you make there.
So yeah.
Crispy?
I just want to start off by saying, can we all just take a moment and admire Max's shirt? That is
I was going to say
the nicest shirt I've ever seen. I am so envious of that shirt. I really want it. It's black, but it has the flowers. I mean,
yeah,
gorgeous. But
summer.
on topic, I mean, it just is maybe the best shirt ever made. That is just amazing.
It's a goth surfer shirt.
But it's upscale though. It is. I agree with you. But it's also, anyway. It is a thing of beauty. So I mean, for me, a sandbox it's the opposite of the standard 3-act type thing where everything is more or less scripted in advance, and you're just leading players through. So players can be passive and just sit back, and then as the person running the game, I can just lead you through, and you'll sit there, and maybe at the end you'll say, oh, that was kind of a cool story. Thanks for telling me a cool story about my character and how cool my character is. And it's not driven at all by the motivations of the character. There's really, I mean, if there's an obstacle, it's just a superficial thing, just so that we could move to the next scene, and all the scenes it's all set pieces. Yeah, that's my thinking on a sandbox. Is the antithesis of that. It's the idea that there isn't an endpoint in mind when we start. We just start with an obstacle, and then from there things happen. There's consequences for action, there's consequences for inaction, but they're not. I think that's what I would go with as a definition. It's just something that's driven completely by the motivations of the characters themselves.
But in this is kind of like our traditional modus operandi in a sense. Before we go, if we keep on going, let me just say hi to people in chat because I'm being rude now. Hello, Nicolas Carmago, Bacon Gaming, Jason Bacon, I believe. Yeah,
I like everyone here is subscribed to him. I hope he had a good first video.
Yeah. Oh, did he upload? I didn't check.
He did. Yeah, he did. Absolutely.
I didn't check your YouTube recently. I've been busy, and also like being a bum beach, a beach bum. That's why I'm all red. Yeah. And hello to those Squatch. So like, because one thing I wanted to come back to is what Rick mentioned about like our session 0, right? Because oftentimes also there's this thing about like I mentioned like sandbox being player led, and obviously when you start a campaign, and we do a lot of one shot, which are basically like always like starting campaign, the equivalent of starting a campaign, we could oftentimes keep playing in those things, but because of the way we do things, we want to try different system, we want to try different concept, we want to try different, like we have a very experimental approach, and we say, oh, like let's do a game where there's magic, where because we didn't use that, let's do a game where there's a lot of combat, let's do a game where there's this, right? Just we try different thing. So we often change the game we do. But when you start a new campaign, even if you want to do a campaign, sandbox campaign, oftentimes in the first session, you're gonna have something to get the ball rolling. You just don't want to, okay, you're all in the tavern, and then you wait, right? Just like until something happens. No, you get to have some initiating event to get the ball rolling, and once the ball gets rolling, then the player can lead, and the player decide where they go and stuff like that. But it is, but even if we do have this thing, well, in the Rising Sun campaign, we did have this conflict that we were going to solve. It's a conflict. It was very player-led because it's something that we came up to during session 0, right? We're just like, okay, what we're gonna play next? Okay, this setting. What's the world? And then like all the player together added something, right? And we're just like, and okay, what's happening? Oh, the desert is expanding, and then like we built that thing like that. So it was something that we were motivated to go through. Like we didn't need the GM to tell us, okay, this is happening, and this is what you're doing now, and this is your mission, right? Because that's what we agreed that we were coming up to do. So yeah,
exactly.
And Rick was saying, like, if people want to see our session 0, a lot of them now are viewable. They've been filmed and uploaded oftentimes. So it's always something, yeah. Cryfight, did I skip you, SBD? I'm sorry. You say greetings. I thought I did say hi. There you go. An RPG Exile. So, and oftentimes also like one thing that is there's also like the on the scale like between Railroad and Sandbox, right? There's often like the theme park, where now you're gonna have like a choice of activity, and we don't even do that, right? We're just like,
nope, we don't even do that.
We don't even do that.
Queue up in a line to go on some ride or dungeon ride or princess rescue mission.
Yeah. Oh, there's this dungeon there, but there's also like a princess that's been captured, and then which adventure do you want to go on? And then
I want to go to the swap meet.
Yeah, I go to the Bilton board, see what quests are available.
That sucks.
Job postings. Yeah.
Who's this mime? Should I give him money or not? Oh, they're selling hats.
They're selling hats. You should always give money to mimes. Be good to your mimes.
But if you can think of a Railroad as being a linear game, then you can think of a Sandbox as being non-linear. Like Curse of Strahd. I would use that setting as a sandbox. Instead of going chapter by chapter, let the characters decide where they go in that map region in whatever order they want.
But
I
even
think that's important, like being able to, you don't have to go in a set this, then this, then this. Like it can be in any, it's whatever you decide. And other things are still happening in the world. To me, when describing a sandbox, it just sounds like you're trying to have an effective world simulation. Like that's just trying to make the world feel real.
Mhm.
It's hard to imagine a world that doesn't behave like a sandbox.
Well,
that's also
the
like
world should be in motion, right?
yes,
Not static.
Constantly. Yeah.
Not waiting for you.
Like the one sentence I often say, like the world doesn't exist for a place to be a place for the player to adventure in, right? The world exists for its own sake.
Yes.
You know, the player just happened to live in that world. The characters just happen to live in that world, right?
Yes.
But the world exists for its own sake, and the people in this world exist for their own purpose. But like the question is, if we do like the emergent narrative or emergent storytelling and stuff like that, whatever what people want to call it, right? Just like we don't come with a story to prepare, we don't know where the story is gonna go. Does that lead like necessarily to a sandbox? Because like there's no raid, right? Like we talk about linear story, and there's no story pre-written. So if we look at posteriori, if we look at the game that what happened, then there is a story that's being drawn, right? We can say like we can look at a past game and say like, well, this was a story of what would happen, but the story is not pre-written.
It can't be, because a story that's pre-written would never be able to handle the inherent chaos of having dice decide.
Yeah,
like you would have. This is where the fudging thing comes in, because people that are fudging their dice rolls, it's because they can't handle the chaos that is introduced by the fact that there is a random some kind of randomizer in the game. So you can't have a story already like storyboarded out like some movie. Like how is that what, like in movies they have little cartoon drawings where they storyboard out the scenes. You can't have that and have dice involved. I don't think you can. Or in other words, you have to water down the dice so much that they don't really even matter. Yeah. And then
that's the fudging, right? Like you mentioned. Or some people are gonna have like, well, okay, we're gonna have like scene A, scene B, and scene C, and we don't know exactly how scene A is gonna be resolved, but it's gonna be resolved, and then we're gonna be able to move to scene C. Well, then then it doesn't matter, right? Just like you don't know. Like maybe I don't want to go to scene B.
Yeah, maybe want to do something completely different. Maybe I think your scenes suck. And I'm just going to go do something else.
Yeah, there's a point there in the Rising Sun campaign. Like you didn't know if we'd go. Like, there was this army going toward Viter, and there was those big column of smoke, and then like say like, well, now we're stuck between two. We have a big hard choice to make, and you didn't know.
I didn't know. Or you could have done something else. You could have said, you know what?
Something else. Yeah.
Forget it. We're just leaving. We're not going to go after either. We're going to do something else completely.
Grab the ship and go to the mainland on this side. There you go. Yeah. It could have worked out that way. Yeah. I think a lot of people have sorry about that, but I think a lot of people have an idea, a notion, a sandbox is a totally empty kind of thing, and where the game master has a whole bunch of towns or whatever, and he's got a bunch of areas. He hasn't explained any of this to the players at all. So the players, in other words, have to ask the game master questions, and that's what you see happening in those games where we have coordinated together in our session 0 so that all those questions that you had, what's to the north of us, what's to the south of us, what's the country that we come from, what's the name of the enemies that our country is facing, all those are answered during our session 0. So you don't have to question, you don't have to go out of character and ask these questions or try to, as we try to stay in character for all of our session. We can't ask those outright. We have to figure out a way to, let our actions express it, or ask an NPC. And that's where a lot of people, I think, have this confusion that we're not running a sandbox. But we are, and the reasons why it looks like we're not is because we've already settled all the knowns in our session 0,
and also because we allow each other like to add to the world. If something is not known, if it hasn't been defined, it's like it's up for grab, basically. Like you can just like,
exactly.
We have an understanding of the tone of the team and stuff like that. So if there's a blank that hasn't been defined, you can fill it in, right? Just respect the tone and what has been established prior, right? Don't throw a big curveball, but
stay consistent.
Yeah. And you mentioned like I think like the 4-hour traveler game that we did, right? That was pure sandbox as well. We came in like we knew like a situation, like, oh, we're on a space station, and then everyone knew where a character would start, right? I started on the station. Shauner started on fucking Mars, and Crispin is shipped out of the station, right? So we all in a different place, and we didn't have like an objective. We weren't even together. We didn't know each other. We're but we just like 4 hours went by like a charm. And stuff happened. We just made it happen, right? Each of our character had their own motivation, so we just ran up with that. And that was like, I think, if you want to talk about pure sandbox, that was it in a one shot.
Yep. There wasn't
true.
That's a good point. And I would just on a comment on the session 0. I think it's possible in a session 0 to just do a group collaboration railroad game. Like you could just say, if you in your session 0, you could just sit down and say, okay, well, here's everything that's going to be going on, and here's all that. And essentially what you've done is you've built the walls around the railroad, or you've laid the railroad line together in a collaboration. But that's not what we're trying to do. It's really more of what the initial conflict is, not anything beyond that. And I think that also is important in a sandbox, because in a sandbox, if it's a believable world, there ought to be conflict. There should be lots of interesting obstacles to overcome, but they're not. Other than the initial bang to just get things going, the rest are discovered or are consequences of other things that cascade from that initial. So we've got our session 0 for the Rising Sands game. I don't know if it's not a one shot, but
we might
mini
go back
campaign, I guess. We talk a lot about what's the state of the world as we find it in our first game. But we don't go beyond that. We don't plot out anything. There's no thought of Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. There's nothing of that. It's just obstacle leading to interaction or not, a consequence from that, and then on to the next obstacle, whatever that may be. And those happen organically or just evolve over time without being scripted. You can't script it because there's dice involved.
You didn't know how many sessions of that game you would play right?
We didn't at all. It started off as a one shot, and then we're like, 2, maybe 3. Now Max is saying, "Hey, we're gonna go back to it." Okay, that's right, because he wants me to do domain play.
Exactly. Guy. And we have like unanswered question. Now there's still like a lot in the air in that game, right? A lot of unanswered question. But that's also like the point of like, and the point of the sandbox as well, right? We can always go back to this question because like there's still this world there and there's still stuff happening, right? With like the world is not resolved, right? The world is still ongoing. There's still stuff, we could go back in that world with different character and
unresolved things. That's the best part. You can revisit.
Yeah. Let me have a quick look at the chat. What people are saying. Like RPG Exile saying, "Oh, great, another ballroom fight." I guess that's when I was saying, like, "Oh, we all start in the tavern and then we wait for something to happen." Yeah, at some point, it gets old pretty quick.
Yeah, the whole tavern thing. I like his. Can you pull that comment up again? I really like RPG Elite. I like your little logo there. That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
RPG Exile. That looks cool. I think that's it's like a graphic designer in our midst. That looks.
I guess you got like a you must have a channel there.
Yeah. Do you have videos? Do you have videos on your?
Do you have video on your channel?
Just leave it in comment. Anyway, I just complimenting that. I think it looks really cool. It's punchy and I like it.
No video.
Hey, Bacon Gaming didn't have videos until just this last week. So RPG Exile, let's see a video.
He's off to a good start.
Yeah, you got a good name and a good logo.
Yep. And I liked your first video. It was good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, James Bacon. Yeah, I haven't watched it because, like I said, I haven't been on YouTube much. Calvin Perkis say Curse of Strahd is a sandbox, yes, but the subject of the most contrived script BS of any homebrew, in my opinion.
I don't know much about it. Calvin, you
think-
could be right. I don't know much.
Yeah, I think like the way like it depends. Also, like it depends. Like in like the old school Curse of Strahd, the modern remaking of Curse of Strahd. I guess Curse of Strahd is the because the other one was just called Ravenloft, right? Curse of Strahd is a new adventure path. That's what we'd call like a theme park, because like there's this one thing you can go do, this one thing you can go do, this one thing you can go do, and you got some freedom in which one you're gonna go pick. And you won't like. I think they try to make it that you won't be able to do it at all, or maybe you can do it all. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm not too versed into 5e to be honest, so I don't know.
Yeah, it was
But the way-
following along the lines of the what was it called, Dragonlance? Because Dragonlance started doing that sort of thing, you know, creating a somewhat of a sandbox, but it was very contrived to be a kind of a linear adventure that you would go through. I mean, you did have your many different corridors you could apply, you know, go through instead. But the thing that Dragonlance started doing was kind of building things up so that, okay, you start here, then you go through this, you talk to this person, and then in order to talk to that person, you need to know that this is happening. And it was very, very it was a lot of ifs.
It's more like a flow chart than really like a free flow, right?
Yeah.
It's very, very strange that way. You'd have to go ahead and rewrite, you know, all the flavor text and everything so that you can get it proper, so you could, you know, describe everything properly without giving too much exposition in it, because that there tends to be a lot of exposition being, you know, pulled out in these passages that you have to read out to the players. And that was the same thing with the Curse of Strahd and everything. It was
Because that's all like the sandbox module. That's kind of like
Yeah, that's
a tough challenge.
How does
right?
that work exactly? Like, can you have if you were designing a sandbox adventure, could you really even do box text? Like, I guess you could do that. Like, you see this, and so you read this. I've only done a few. To full disclosure, I've only done a few published games. Like, I ran the, what is it called, Rise of the Rune Lords. I did that whole thing, and by the end, I had sworn that I was never going to do anything like this again, because every obstacle leaves a clue, one clue that points to the next thing, and it just goes like that again and again and again and again, and it is so dull. It's just awful. Anyway, I was told afterwards that I did it wrong, but you know, that's how it was written. It's just terrible.
So, like I had the same experience in the but in the 90s. Like, I tried like once to do like a module, and I said like, well, first that's like too much work. It's not worth it.
It's so much work.
And like, because you have to prep the module.
Yeah.
And then like with the player I had, which, you know, we always like been like this kind of free form kind of go and like make stuff as you go, right? Also, like, we didn't have access to a lot of stuff because like we're north of Quebec and we didn't speak English too much, and a lot of things didn't get translated. So we had to make out our own shit from the get-go, right?
Right.
But then I got someone to get those modules and say like, okay, we're on page 2 and you already went a completely different direction.
So it's crazy.
Chuck it over your shoulder. Worthless. All this prep for nothing, right? Just like, it's either like I try to wrangle you back on the module, on the railroad, or
Constantly.
I just say, well, then fuck it. You know, we're gonna do our own thing. So I always pick the latter. Yeah. But I know that the guy from Black Lodge Games, right, are working on a supplement now called the Chuck Oyster for Shadowlark. And I guess that, like, I know those guys are not railroader, and they're trying to make this module, and it's with this brothel and where things can happen and stuff like that. But I think they're trying to make it in a way that, you know, there's are things that can happen. There are a table, there are a character, right? They're trying to give you like some material without putting you on rails. I think that's actually what they're trying to do. But you have to specifically try to do that, and I guarantee you that there's going to be a lot of people. They're going to pick up that thing and say, "Well, there's no adventure there. It doesn't tell me what to do. It doesn't tell me how to, like, you know." And they're going to be pissed off because, like, some people want to be, oh, just give me the plot that I need to put my player through, right? For some people, that's what they want from a module. Like, and I think
they just want encounter design.
Yeah. Like give me okay, you want to give me like a cool location, a setting, like some idea of initial conflict, some factions, stuff like that. I can work with that, right? And I can work around that. But when you start like putting like plot point and story beat and stuff like that, well, then like, no, you're stepping over the line. You're out of
yeah.
Anything else on Curse of Strahd? Bacon Gaming said the story is emergent. It comes out of the decision instruction of a living. Yeah, because, and like not only like the dice, like Crispy mentioned, but also like player agency, right? The player are gonna are gonna have their character do something else, then maybe he's not gonna. Oh, okay, I didn't think he would do that, right? Just like at some point, I know, like Rick, like when we were doing the Arn game, the Castle Crusade game,
Right.
at some point there was a few paths like we had to discuss a lot, like in character.
Yes.
We talked a lot, like, okay, okay, now there's this problem that we could go and investigate. What we would gain from it. Like we had those talk, like especially like Bernier and Carl, like Big Bad's character, which were both like not the most heroic character. So we're just talking about like, well, what do we want to do now? Do we want to fucking work with this guy?
Yeah, you guys were quite characters. Yeah. It was pretty funny because every time you guys would initiate something or get involved with something, you would go through part of it and then pull back out and then start doing something different. In the meantime, you guys are encountering the repercussions of not going fully, you've released something in the depths of this dungeon, and now you're doing something. Nothing happened there. We'll go check this out, and then you start working with Servion and his crew, and you're discovering, oh, this guy's bad news and everything, and then suddenly you're hearing, oh, something's happening over here. So in the meantime, you're going along the way there, and boom, another situation happens. Encounter with a griffin and all kinds of mayhem ensuing, everything is occurring naturally. You guys are talking to each other in character, making plans. And that's great stuff, because I love it, because you guys are playing it in character, and it's just so flavorful with all kinds of different character nuances being brought up.
And we were like in that sense also that make us like proactive character, because we were deciding like in character what we want to do, right? We're like just those two guys in the world trying to survive and make a living and earn some cash and go around, so we're like, we're not being pushed around by the world. So I think that was great as well.
Yes.
RPG Exiles, the player often react from the GM decision. It should be the GM reacting from the player decision. Joyce, that I agree 100%. That's why you want proactive player, reactive GM, not the opposite. That's a great point. Not said often enough.
Well, how do the players often react to the GM in these games? They just say,
well, they roll dice when they're asked to.
Perception roll, perception roll, perception roll. Every time it's their turn, they're rolling dice.
Yeah.
And the story
because the GM
takes
asked them
either
to,
longer or shorter. Depending on the die rolls, the story will take longer or shorter to tell. Oh, you crit, so the guy tells you all about the place you're at. Oh, you didn't succeed, so you're going to have to go dig around look for some clues or something.
Or sometimes, oh, you succeed, I'm going to give you more description. I'm going to read the second part of the text box.
Yeah, not only do you know about the NPC, but you know about the NPC's daughter and her daughter and her daughter and her daughter. You know, that kind of thing. You don't even meet these people, but you know all about it.
Jump in, Crispy, if you want to say something.
Oh, I'm waiting till you get down to some. Bleaker's got a great comment there. I don't want to jump all over that, but we'll get there. Yep.
Written lies say, I always define a sandbox game as the game you have the least direction and the world built around the player. Yeah, the least direct, like that's what it should be, right? You.
Yeah, I don't exactly. Written's right. Okay, Written's a smart guy, so he gets it. The issue is that you don't, as a player, I find it more than a little patronizing when the game master is leading my character around by the nose. I'm like, I'm a big boy. I'm supposed to be in the head of this character. I'll decide where the character goes. And that, unfortunately, I don't like it. I don't like doing it to other players when I'm running the game, but I also really hate it when I'm a player. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, okay, so here's where the walls are. The carnival ride goes this way. I can tell already that I'm supposed to be here because the game master wants me to be here, and I don't want to be a jerk to him because he spent 17 hours, coloring out his map, and I have to. Yeah, I just hate that because it feels like I'm a spectator, and that's never what the player is. The player is not a spectator.
Yeah. Nope. And the point about building the world around the player, I think it's a good point as well, because and that's also there doesn't need to be an invisible wall, because the world is not the star of the show. The characters are, right. This game is about those characters. It's not about the world. It's not like oh, look at this cool world I've built, and now you're gonna use your character so I can show to you this cool world I built, right? Just not fucking show and tell. Look how imaginative I am. If you do that, then at some point, the character is gonna go to a different region. Well, I didn't plan this region yet. So we have to pause. We'll come back next week so I can think of what's happening there. Don't fucking do that, right? It doesn't matter. Just make up something on the spot, right? It doesn't have to be the most interesting world every place you go. Just make something that is believable. But it's just a place for the character to evolve, right? To have have the adventure in.
Yep. Sorry? Those GMs also, they're the same ones that say you're limited only by your imagination in these games. Yeah. So you show up because you believe the lie. So you show up to the guy's game and you're like, what the hell is this? He's just telling me a story about what my character is doing. Where do I get to use my imagination here? Yeah. And you try to imagine your character doing something else. Nope, there's a reason why you're stuck in the guy's story land.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you roll dice thinking, I'm going to change this. I'm going to break this guy's story. But the die rolls basically nerf or buff what your character does in the story. You're still going to meet the princess.
Who told me that? As soon as somebody in our group started telling me that, I said, as soon as I'm in a game and I feel I start feeling the wall, I want to go push against them.
Yeah, that was Matt, Black Lodge Games. He said that.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What did he say?
Yeah, there you go.
He said, as soon as
I'm in a game, as soon as I feel the wall, I want to go push against them, right? I want to go break them. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, and I don't know if that's what you should do, but I understand the sentiment, right?
Yeah, I won't do it because I don't want to be a jerk to the guy. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm not excited for this game anymore because I'm just the spectator, and I thought I was actually going to be someone with agency within the game, but I'm not.
No, exactly. Bacon Gaming say writing a story first is fighting against the game. What happens is story progression relies on a character noticing something and they failed. Yeah, that's the perception check. They love making so much. That's very true. And this also this story being antithetical to the game. Tomb of Lime Gaming.
Oh yeah, go watch that. Stop watching this. Go watch that right now.
Don't stop watching.
Stop watching us. He's so good, that guy. Oh man.
Yeah. And I thought this video was so good that I made a community post sharing it. I said go watch that video, guys. Just like
Yeah.
so, if you didn't see it.
Yeah, I share
what-
his stuff wherever I happen to share stuff.
Oh, he's just he's so smart, that guy. And then I made the mistake of going back to one of his recent video that's got like thousands of views on it so far. And I was reading the comments. Holy smokes, the comments are just brutal. And he's so incredibly patient, like these walls of text, and he's responding, and he's like,
Oh yeah.
man. Anyway, so good.
Was so great. Well, the forums, if you just look above you, Bacon Gaming say Tomb of Lime.
Yeah.
Tomb of Lime Gaming. Yeah.
He's really good.
It's very good.
Yeah, he came from Twitch, so he's done this before.
Oh, I see.
He's high production value compared to the rest of us amateurs.
YouTube is baby steps,
Yeah.
compared
Anyway,
to Twitch.
that's it. Anyway.
Yeah. But I remember, like, at some point, like, I was looking at this guy's comment section of one of his earlier video, and he was all us guy say, well, all the cool kids are here. Yeah. All my walls are basically player build. Yeah. All I do is was lay a very small foundation. That's the way to do it. Yeah.
Yep. Start with an obstacle. That's it.
Yeah. If the enemy is scripted, get away at a certain point. They always get away, no matter. Yeah. That's also.
Doesn't that suck? Because like you could be brilliant and it doesn't matter because the script says that they get away. Like, oh, come on, really?
That's just a different way of fudging as well, right? Just like,
I'm kind of anti cutscenes, and that's a cutscene thing.
Yeah.
Or the princess is getting married, and your characters all have to be there because there's an assassination attempt, and you have to be there.
Nicholas Karma
rather
goes,
do
you're not
something
running a
else that
sandbox
day.
because you got no X map, no, at least 5 random encounter table. Is that what is needed for a sandbox?
I don't know. It seems to be implied.
Because like random encounter, like.
Well, I used to
What
run
was
my
that, but we
sandboxes
just-
that way.
Yeah, but
Back, 20 years ago, I would have a blank slate, and during the game, I would just start doing the random tables to see what's north, what's east, what's south.
Yeah.
Just using random charts.
So that's like
Here's what you found. Okay, congratulations. We're building the world as we play.
computer can do that.
Oh yeah, just have the computer just give you a map.
Like, like I'm playing tabletop role-playing game. Well, tabletop, like I get what you mean. Like for what they can do that other medium cannot. And if we need an encounter at some point, we can just put an encounter. Like the GM can just put an encounter. Like just like we can just make something happen because like like a push, like Rick would call it, or like just like. I don't need to roll on a table. I can have like some idea, like prep or stuff like that. But then I'm gonna pick something and like what makes sense at the moment, what's interesting at the moment,
Well,
what's filled with the rhythm, right?
Even when I rolled on tables back in the day, I still had to change the results because the tables don't match the setting you're using. So you're constantly retweaking what you rolled on.
Or you roll on the table, like, oh, okay, but now like you keep it up your sleeve and you just like wait for the opportune moment to because you don't want to make it too transparent, stuff like that. But at some point, like that's the same thing as just like
quantum encounter.
But it's appropriate.
Good point.
Like and RPG XL, I hate tables. I'm not a fan either, right? Just say
I never use the tables. If I do use a random kind of thing, I use cards. So I have a bunch of cards that have ideas and stuff, or something that'll prompt something in my head that might be a great idea right now. Boom, here it is, and we work with it. I hate tables. I would rather take an incident that happened maybe a session or two ago. Yeah, and have an encounter which is related to that. It could be a cousin of the guy that you slighted back in the town or whatever.
100% I agree, Rick. On that.
He could be like,
yeah, I agree with that too, Rick.
You attempted to do this to my brother.
The consequence.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's
stuff
not
like that.
completely
It's just
random.
Cool,
I do. On the other hand, I'll take a little bit of a contrarian position here. I don't mind tables when I'm coming up with the initial obstacles. Like I don't mind doing that because, as Justin says, I think rightfully so, they're not a bad thing to use for inspiration. Like that's fine, because it maybe something random will come up on the tables, but that if I try to, before we start, and again, I'm just looking at this as inspiration to get started, because once we get started, the in a sandbox, it should just grow. Like the obstacles, the conflict, the pushes, they just come as a natural extension of things that are happening in the world, and it just requires the game master, referee, whatever, to be thinking about the world and getting, essentially role playing the world so that it's believable. Well, what would they be doing? This is a consequence here. They didn't interact with this, so that goes on this way, and then maybe I'll roll to see what happens on that. But it's not the same as the traditional dungeon crawl, where you go, you roll what's in this room, kill it, take its treasure, roll for the next room, roll to see what's in it, kill it, take its treasure. I don't. That to me is not.
There's a side of
very
this,
effective
the
way.
hobby that like idealize those procedure, right? Basically, like they elevate the procedure, like, oh no, you should do that, like, because otherwise you're just making stuff up. Like, well, yeah, but you know, like
You're still
I said,
making stuff up. Like
you're
I
still
don't
making
understand.
stuff up, but you're just like taking, you know, you're the GM, you also have like some agency in that, right? You can like make a world that is interesting and stuff like that, and you can like guide the action. And
like I'll be using, we're going to be playing a dungeon crawl type adventure on Monday, and I'll be using tables to come up with the initial idea of the dungeon. But from there, it's going to have to make sense. Like it's going to have to. So I'll be using, resources to come up with something that's new, but that's about it.
Like Truth Nemesis say there, action RPG are better at being loot in game. Yeah, I can go play Diablo, right?
And that's right.
Yeah, it's a grind. It's it's the players grinding for their XP, gold, whatever it is. Yeah. In our games, there's not really. We don't really grind anything, so we're just being the characters. That's our focus. Our focus is talking to each other in character, discovering who we are. I mean, the first like our first sessions, like our initial one, after the session 0, our first session tends to be starts up with the characters kind of being in their skin and learning what it is to be in their skin at first. So sometimes it can be a little lengthy in us talking to each other and discovering, what each character is about. Yeah. And we're always trying to drop clues as we are playing our characters, so we can start to understand each other or let on what am I all about and stuff. And it's an interesting thing. If you're listening for that, it may seem boring to a person that would be like, oh, I'm just all for the grind, and the battles and rolling the dice and stuff like that, and of course, it's going to feel a little awkward to a lot of people when they first see our session. And then once the session starts growing and flowing and we're going someplace, we're always going to be doing something or learning something about each other in the game. So, and that's the cool thing. A lot of people, that may be a turnoff to them too. But, to me, that's essential building blocks of caring about the other characters.
And our character got like motivation and got goals and stuff like that, and sometimes those goals come because like we're working like I look in the Fair City game, right? We're working for this organization, so sometimes like we have like extrinsic goal that come from somebody else, like we're put on a job, right? That's the tone of the game, the setting of the game and stuff like that. But even inside of that, our character got different motivation. You look at the Tino, right?
Yeah, that's great.
And the Tino and Rolando, and there's some tension building up there because like Rolando very by the book and very like don't fuck around, It's like, and Tino just like, I'm gonna try, like there's money there and you leave it lying there, like let's go, like fill our pocket. I said, well, that's what got those guys in trouble. But so we have like character acting in different way and sometimes like pulling in different direction a bit because That's what we're after. We're not after we're not after the XP. Oftentimes we don't even talk about XP or forget about it altogether. We're not about treasure, right? We're not trying to steal everything in the dungeon and just like fill up our pocket and like how do you carry all that shit, right? Because like our character got goal, got motivation, they have objective. Sometimes we're about the goal, like in the Castle and Crusade game, like Bernier was definitely more about the goal. So oftentimes like, well, okay, you want me to do this job, what you gonna pay me for, right? And it's like, well, that's not worth it, right? That's oftentimes where we just didn't go. But that's the grind we have. It's our character goals, our character motivation.
Remember in Star Wars, they were trying to get Han Solo to help them?
Yeah.
And Han Solo's like, what's in it for me? And Luke says, well, there's a princess.
Yeah.
You can rescue a princess. She's rich. You know, that was the way to get him to sign up because they didn't have any money.
Yep. Written say, I feel that Rick's explanation that session 0 is more the sandbox where everyone is involved in the construction, then the session is played. But even during the session, it is still sandboxy because, like we agreed beforehand, like it's almost like because like our character are gonna work together, they're partying and stuff like that. So we agree beforehand. We know like the direction we're gonna take. But we could. We could swerve, right?
Yeah.
The game master ends up with a lot of unknowns. So all during that session 0, we're coming up with knowns, but I'm also coming up with unknowns, things that these NPCs would know, and the reasons why the NPC is going after this thing or whatever. They have their underlying secrets and stuff. You're going to discover those secrets too. So that a lot of time, like when we did some session zeros, I think we went a little too far on the the construction, like lying out way too much stuff. It just felt like, okay, well, we basically laid out the entire world and all our enemies we would encounter and all this stuff, and then what's the point of even playing it? Now we know the results of it. Basically, we know the underlying. No. We definitely have to have a lot of unknowns in the game, which the game master is supposed to take care of, as well as sometimes the players introduce a lot of unknowns during the game session too, and. I've introduced things that were of detriment to my character in games, or caused issues with my character, wounding him slightly or causing him some sort of grievous harm to him in various ways, and it makes the game more interesting that way. I'm learning whenever I'm game mastering one of these games. I'm learning things too. Like I just don't have all the secrets, but I'm also learning things as the players are interacting, and they're feeding me little bits of information that I can go, I want to grab that. I want to use Crispy's explanation of this instead of what I was thinking in my head as a secret. Now I want to integrate the two and twist them together, and you can come up with all kinds of weird, wacky, premises that occur from all this, what's going on in the game. And you can, it's not going to come out exactly how you're thinking it's going to come out as a game master. It's going to be a total, new experience for you, whatever comes up. If you got some good players, you guys are definitely great players to play with. I enjoy playing with you guys because it's always something new and different. And we come up with some pretty cool things.
Yeah. Nicolas, like you say, Nicolas Carmago say, I enjoy the table, but only if they're used outside the session. That's also something I want to say about table. I'm okay with them existing, but oftentimes I'm going to read them. And I'm not going to roll on them, but it's just like, idea, like seed for idea that I can keep in the back of my mind, right? Just like, they exist. I read them. I perused through them. And then like, well, maybe I'll pick up something from it at some point, but I'm basically choosing, right, from what made an impression. Yeah,
you get something like this with a whole bunch of tables and everything in here. The problem
I remember
is
that
for
book.
me is
That
going
book is
through
crazy.
this, opening it up, and looking for something, right? And you roll your D100. You come and now you got to look up the chart to find it, and you're like, oh, okay, I know what it is. Okay, blah blah blah. Read up. There might be a little bit of blurb on there. That's way too much time out of my game mastering. I'd rather just grab a card, any card here, and I would have my stacks here, and boom, I have a card, and I just look at it. Okay, cool. It's got some colors on there. It's got some interesting things. Crystal columns of sap nearby, ciphers energy, plates of a user with flexible synth granting +1 to armor but hindering all movement. So I'm like thinking, oh, how can I? Oh, okay, this is what happens. You know, great crystal columns before you spew out on the cave. You reverberating an energy against your skin. You feel it permeate around in the cave, making an echoing sonic sound like a vowel in the air. Whoa. Now you got an image in your head, and now the players can fill in the rest of the things that I did not express, and they could be like, oh, I imagine these columns doing this and that. You know, they can add in their few bits, and I'm like, oh, cool. And it just grows and grows. From each of the players as the round goes, and it's a killer experience. And that's just from a card. I don't have to roll dice. I don't have to do nothing. There's tons of cards out there. I'd rather do cards than look up tables. It's just way more efficient for the game master.
You don't want to open the book during the game.
Yeah.
And also you can read up that card, because as a GM with good player, you don't have to do 90% of the talking, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So true.
That's a big difference as well. That's a
Huge.
That's a great to hear. RPG Exile. We'll look it up. Let us know when you upload your video.
Yeah, please.
Yeah,
tag us in it, so we'll come take a look.
And we'll send you an invite with to the Discord if you want to join in.
That's funny.
That is funny.
I've seen that there was somebody mentioning the Black Lodge game guy on Reddit.
Oh, it's hilarious.
People were every time they're mentioned because of the reaction they did on the Ginny video. And somebody was asking advice. Oh, and I see the video of Ginny D and I know Black Lodge game. I agree with that. And then people like, well, you should know Black Lodge game are fairly right wings. It's yes, asking about question about gaming, guys. Why do you have to fucking bring that up? Fucking people from Reddit, man.
Well, if you go to Ginny D's X account and read her posts, you'll know right away where her politics are.
Yes, but she was right in that video from reading that book. Yeah.
Okay.
Did I miss the Bleaker?
No, it's coming up. It's at 6:38.
6:38.
Yep.
What is that? I don't have the same time as
you don't have the timestamps?
Well, I have the timestamp, but in Eastern time.
Oh, okay. So it'd be 9:38.
Yeah, 9:38. Okay, I'm almost there. Yeah, I'm skipping some. I'm skipping some because a lot of things I think we covered already.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Vulture of Shem, the starter adventure and the Modifius canon. I don't remember. Oftentimes I don't read those adventure at the back of the book. I don't bother with them. But I like the Conan game though. That's the one we could try one day.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah. All right, I got it.
This is it. This is a great comment.
There you go. A lot of expectation put on you, Bleaker, now by Crispy. So
Yeah,
I think it was getting
great.
ready to be
I'll watch it. I'll be like, that's stupid. I like it.
Most DM I've played on there need a linear pre-written module to run. Too many things they can run a pure sandbox, and they can't. The game is boring and just random encounter. People talking big, but I don't actually practice the way what they preach.
Yep.
It was a good comment. And I think it's worth of discussion there.
It is. I think we can discuss that for sure.
Like Crispy said, I agree, and it's a great topic for us to discuss.
It is. It's a great topic. Yeah. See, that's why I'm like, I have no way of favoriting or whatever comments. I have to put a comment in there.
Yeah, putting the star. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, that's a great topic of a discussion, indeed. Like, and I think it's a fair point saying like most GM do need this linear story and cannot run a sandbox. But I think that's oftentimes the blames are almost as much on the player as on the GM, right?
Yep.
You cannot run a sandbox with passive player. If you always
Impossible.
have to push your player,
Yeah.
that's oftentimes like, at some point, like, and then I say so the GM that cannot run a sandbox, it can be blamed on the player, but oftentimes those players are passive because they have been trained by the GM to be passive.
Yeah.
So there's a feedback loop there.
So how does you know how the GM pushes players in his games where he just says, "You guys are walking through the forest."
Yeah.
And
That's
everyone
how
roll
you
for
train
perception.
passive.
That's the push. Everyone roll for perception. Ooh, what's it gonna be? What's the mystery gonna?
Yep. Oh,
What's gonna
okay.
what's gonna ambush us, or what are we gonna find? And
Yeah. Rick, you see a rabbit coming out of the wood.
Is it black? Is it brown?
What kind of rabbit?
Is it a hare? Is it a bunny rabbit?
Roll knowledge animal.
Oh, okay.
I'm laughing because I've done this. I have
two.
done that.
I don't even know what kind of bunny rabbit this is.
I have.
Well,
done that.
actually, you're not sure if it's even a rabbit.
Well, it turns out it's
It might
actually
be a cat.
snipe. It's not a rabbit.
It's a
There you go.
stoat. Is it a snipe? Is it a
oh wow!
Is it a bread box?
So,
I want to pet it as hard as I can.
I've done it. I'm laughing because that was me. Like I absolutely did that. 100%.
I'll stroke its fur the wrong way.
So bad.
But like it is true what Blicker said. Yeah, with some group, the sandbox won't work if they don't understand. Like if they're just there to be told a story.
Can't do it.
If they're just there to say like, well, tell me like, like I remember like I was just like back in I was still in high school, so it was back in the 90s, right? I remember I was talking with like my buddy of then that is still my buddy today, right? Long time friend. And we're talking about that, like he was playing with those people and it's like, man, like he had like this, and we're used to playing the same way, where like people are like player are proactive and stuff like that, and he played like with those different people and it's like, man, I'm fucking sick of those fucking nerds. Like all you have to do is like put a fucking light beam in the field and say, you see there's a light over there, go there, kill the monster there, save the princess, come back home, right? You have to put them like so much like that's what we see in Marvel movie today, right? That's the modern cinema as well.
Yeah.
Very simple narrative, right? Oh, there's a beam in the sky. That's the example I use, right? Just like, oh, there's a big beam in the sky. If you go there, it's gonna be a bad guy. You can kill them and save the princess, and then you'll be done with the adventure. But for some people, that's what they need because, like, I don't know, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
But I say that. Yeah. So go ahead, Rick.
I see a lot of movies doing a lot of that kind of stuff lately. Like one I've seen, 57 Seconds, I believe it's called, where the guy has a ring that makes him go back in time. It's with Morgan Freeman. I think the actor, the young man actor was from the Hunger Games.
Oh yeah. Are you part of the Silver Remnant, Rick?
What's that?
Are you part of the Silver Remnant? One of those people that still go to the theater at least twice a month?
No. My wife brought it up on Prime. It's on Prime. So we were watching this show, and there was the young fellow. He's describing a lot of the stuff that goes in between the scenes, or as it's happening. He's describing it as the character, like exposition. I'm serious. He doesn't do it right away in the story. It's more or less halfway through. It's like he's got to explain things for everybody that's watching the show as part of the audience. And my wife was like, I don't like this. Why are they doing this? I'm like,
Yeah.
well, it's,
Well,
maybe.
They
Yeah.
make
trained-
movie for modern
we're trained to
audience. So
be-
you're gonna watch the movie from one eyes and not even like just like
Yeah.
scrolling TikTok while they watch the movie, right? That's that's what people do now. So you have to explain
Yeah.
everything and like restate everything. Like, yeah, I got it. I'm fucking watching the movie there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Like, what you watch those movies for? Those movies are just made like to play in the background while you scroll TikTok.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not movie made to be watched.
So, but I mean, back to Bleeker's comment, I think there's a lot of things happening here. Just speaking from my own experience, one thing in order to run an effective sandbox is that you have to, as the game master, the person running it, you have to let go of this idea, or your focus is my cool story.
Yep.
You have to forget that.
Yeah.
And then as players, you have to be absolutely focused on your character's goals and motivations all the time. And then if your game is boring, then you have to, I think that both players and game master, well, it's just another player, you have to think about the obstacles. Maybe your obstacle sucks. Like, come up with a better obstacle and then go with that. And then the character's actions, because you can only do a sandbox with players that are going to play their character's motivations. Those characters are going to start creating their own obstacles. We've seen this again, time and time and time again. In almost every session we've played, you're at most of the time it's everyone, but there's at least a few players that are going to create a major obstacle by what they've done that I didn't have anything to do with, or maybe I created the obstacle. So if your obstacles never stop appearing. This is the other thing. It's not we've got to break away from this 3-act play nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, in a role-playing game, there's just there's always another obstacle. There's no finish line. You just go, because the world doesn't, unless the world ends. I guess in that case, the world ends. I mean, my ship blew up, everyone's dead. But if that didn't happen, then there's just going to be another obstacle. You're never going to be done with the obstacles. And if your obstacles stop appearing, or you're not being creative enough to think of what would be the logical consequence for character actions and inactions, then it could be boring. But it ought not to be boring. If you're doing a sandbox correctly, then it's the most exciting game. It's certainly more exciting than here's my stupid 3-act. You meet the characters, the standard thing. Meet the characters have they're introduced the conflict, and then the characters resolve the conflict. That's it. Like, that's just boring.
Yeah. And I think also, like, we mentioned about like those players that have a hard time portraying proactive character. I'm gonna be a bit mean here, but I think it's because a lot of people are not very proactive in their own life.
Yeah, they're just passive.
It's
They're
true.
passive in life. They don't.
They're passive. Like, like your character should not be just a guy just doing his job, right? Just like going to, you're playing like you need to want to play somebody that, so to some extent, is gonna protect, is gonna impose his will on the world, right? Is gonna take proactive action, is gonna move like, and I think you should be like that in life. But that's me, right? You should be in control of your own life. Like, don't just be pushed around and oh well, no, the boss want me to do that, so I'll do that, and my wife want me to do that, so I'll do that. And it's like, because at some point you have to say, like, what do you want to do, and do fucking what are your goal and motivation? If you can think that, like, I was joking earlier, I was talking with Justin on his stream, and I said, like, because they were saying, well, like, they were talking about somebody like playing a character that's more like them, and I said, well, that's the first step. I said, yeah, the first step, maybe you play a character that's a lot like you, and then the later step, like, at the first step, your character is like you are, and the later step, you become like your characters are, right? You learn something from the character, and you push yourself, like, to be a little more heroic in your real life. But I think that's something that is so lost. Like, for some people, it is gonna be harder. Like, so a lot of people, like, often say, like, when we joke about alignment, I say, like, lawful neutral is the default alignment of most people, because they just do what the person authority above them tell them to do, and they don't think about morality at all.
Yeah.
I think as far as character motivations go, and I agree with you, Max, I think that the part of the problem with this is the absolute obsession that we've all had on leveling up. And unfortunately, I used to think this way, and sometimes I catch myself thinking this way. Your motivation as your character is not to go from level 3 to level 4 or level 5 to level 10. That is
because
not
that doesn't
your
exist.
motivation.
No,
There's
exactly.
there's a mechanical thing happening in the game, but there must be a reason your character has for putting themselves in harm's way that's more than just now I get to hit harder.
Yep.
There's got to be another underlying reason. It's not leveling up. I refuse. I don't accept that from players in my in-person game. When our session zeros, we talk a lot about character motivation because it's been an area that all of us needed to focus on more. And one thing I just never accept is I just want to be more powerful. Well, you're just trying to level up, but why?
Yep.
Why? I want the why behind it. It's Anyway, that's my rant.
At some point, also, like when you're the most powerful guy on the block, you don't want to be more powerful anymore. Like you just fucking sit on your ass and like run the people around, right? Just like power. You don't want power for power's sake, right? Just like unless it's something like you want to push yourself, like like something like we do like in the lifting stuff, right? Just like why are you lifting so much? To lift more weight.
I just want to lift more weight. Well, why?
But it's like, but even there, it's to push myself. It's to push. It's the discipline. It's the just like I'm trying to be a more rounded human being or whatever, right? Just like
I want to be stronger. I'm lifting more weight because I want to be stronger. Why do I want to be stronger? I want to be stronger because stronger people live longer. Why do I want to live longer? Because I'm not ready to meet my maker yet. Because I have to do this. I feel like I have to do something with my life. Okay, well, there we're getting closer to the motivation that I want.
That's a very healthy way to look at it,
right? That's what we're talking about.
I'm lifting more weight.
I agree with you. Justin had a comment, and I agree with you, Justin. It's not when I say obstacles never cease. I'm not talking about how you never get a chance. Like there's no pause. It's just obstacle. That is exactly the same in my mind as just rolling random encounter right after random encounter right after random encounter. And then you're basically just doing a dungeon crawl. It doesn't matter what the dungeon looks like. It's just a dungeon crawl. And I'm not saying that. I'm saying that every success or failure leads to a consequence. That consequence leads to a new obstacle. But it's not there has to be some time sometimes for that consequence to appear.
You also need break.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like in music, like when we say breaks are note as well, right? You cannot just put all notes. You have to have some breathing room sometime. Same thing with the.
Well, your character has to have sex, and then afterwards the posse's there. They caught up with you because you burned down you burned down their village.
Exactly.
I'm not sure how the posse got there within the last 10 seconds, but man,
it's like right
I
away.
guess no.
The sex is. No,
they saw the whole thing happen.
You can fade to black
to do, son.
And then fade back and assume that 8 hours went by or something.
Yeah.
That's what I tell my wife, my girlfriends. Just close your eye and assume 8 hours went by.
Is there 10 second sex? That sounds like a movie or a novel. 10-second sex. Is that even a thing on TikTok?
Watch your own game and you see yourself struggling and apply stuff you already know about. That's very true, and it can be fucking brutal.
Yeah.
Nicholas, you're a dirty elitist. You trying to get better? Stop that right now.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
I think BLG thinks the more imperative to push against the wall. Maybe.
I think we gotta end up applying some more focus in our training sessions too, and in the practice with the players too, taking on their roles and their responsibilities. I think we have to apply that a lot more. I've been, whenever I do the training sessions with everybody, I'm trying to keep everybody in character for that, because that seems to be like the most important thing in order to keep any kind of outside chatter and any kind of BS that may come up talking about other games and stuff like that. Staying in character keeps you key in on just being in character and staying there. the other thing they need to learn, of course, is to carry the narrative for themselves and to bring in the things into every round, you know, indicating where they are, anchoring, that sort of thing. And, you know, expressing a little bit more about their character, you know, with, you know, in how they portray it. They may talk and then bring up something about their childhood or something that brings up that sort of thing. Or it could be a question that's asked by another character to that character, you know, what did your father do to you? You know, you know, that sort of thing. And, you know, it brings up, you know, man, I've had a rough life when I was young, you know, being an only child. My sibling that did exist passed away, unfortunately, but I have yet to find the reason for him disappearing. Now you've got, wow. Now that you gave the game master some extra ideas that you can sprout upon, you know, that's you as a character bringing in, you know, these little challenges for the game master to kind of, that's so cool. I'm going to bring that in. I'm going to have an explanation for this character. It's going to be part of his arc, maybe, or, you know, you know, you're thinking this way, you know, by exploiting exactly what the characters are talking about personally. It's not going to come out. Yeah.
If I was running the game and a player said that, I would immediately think of the bad guy who did that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not thinking, are they going to then see their sibling or not?
Yeah,
that might still be left unknown. Like they find the bad guy, but they don't know what happened to their brother or sister yet, you know.
He's got the little brother's toy car around his on a chain, you know, on his around his
That's
neck.
My brother's. That's my brother's.
It's his Batmobile. He never left home without that.
What are you touching on, Rick? What makes that makes me think of the fact that if you're thinking of your character and as the player, your backstory, these elements, my brother, you know, that was his toy car. Those elements are your responsibility to bring up as the player. It's too many people when they talk about backstories, what they're really doing is they're just saying, well, my GM should be telling me a story about how good I am, my character is, and he needs to be using all of these points that I've given him. But that's not his responsibility. He doesn't have to do that. That's you. If it's going to be important, if it's important to that character, then it'll be something that's on the character's mind that comes up, that the player brings up. GM doesn't have to bring up that.
Yeah.
And anchoring movement, like, you know, anchoring motion can be great for that. You know, I'm just like grabbing the little toy car around my neck.
I love that kind of stuff.
You just mentioned that. You don't fucking like go on about it.
You don't have to go
another
on.
Character, like the other player, hear that, and at some point they say, "What's that fucking car you got around your neck?" And then there you go. Then you have like a character moment.
Yeah.
You don't have to fucking explain it out of character. You don't have to say like, "Here's my backstory." Oh, hello there, sir. We just met. Let me tell you about.
Let me tell you about this Hot Wheels
exactly. So you have to come up naturally in character.
This whole thing.
You know, it build a rapport. It's interesting.
That kind of stuff's awesome. I just love that. Like, yeah, your backstory is that you lost your wife. So you just make a few comments about how you're playing with an old wedding band on your finger and you're just kind of looking off into space, playing with the wedding band. And that's just becomes a bit of a slow burn, right? Like, okay, I'm not going to immediately go into how I met her and then she got cancer and then it goes on and on. You don't have to do that all at once. It just comes through a little bit at a time. It's a slow reveal.
You only get 30 seconds anyway on your turn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Even me, I'm only supposed to have 30 seconds.
That's funny because even when I was watching the D&D movie, right? At some point, like I assume you didn't watch it. It's not really worth watching. I watched it Oh, you watched it? I watched it mainly for like to talk about it on the channel. I thought it was very poorly written, but in the same time, it's kind of representative like of most D&D game.
That's what I said. Like, yeah, that's how most people play it.
But like at some point when they meet like this druidess, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like in the fucking first scene they meet them, like she just like go and stare off in the distance and fucking do a lordom of her old backstory. And I said, that's fucking such bad writing, but in that case, it's the D&D game.
It's exactly what happens.
Yeah.
Exactly, that's what people do. You know,
Oh, man.
you watch those Critical Role game, and that's what they do as well. So I say, like, well, then is it bad writing, or it's just like representative of like all D&D's played, right? Just like, anyway, that was funny. But
Mhm.
but yeah, like what I'm saying there is like you don't have to do that, right? Like just like don't fucking shoot your load before it's due, right? Just like let it like
Slow burn. Yep.
Yeah.
A little bit
Yeah,
at a time.
that's more
Trickle
Do
it
it
out.
like
Say,
do
like,
it
no,
like
10
Road
seconds.
Warrior,
Yeah.
or do it
10
like
seconds.
Beyond Thunderdome, right? The Master Blaster. We don't
Yeah.
know anything about the big guy that the Master Blaster hangs onto. But during the fight scene, it's revealed, oh, don't hurt him. He's just a kid, just a baby. Because the big guy has a brain of like a 2-year-old or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you learn a little bit about the characters.
Mhm.
and
I think-
also like that also tell you about the little dwarf thing, right? Because
Yeah.
he's not just a jerk, right? He care about this guy, right?
Yeah.
Even though like
And you don't hear all that in the first 2 minutes of the movie.
Mm.
It's revealed. The audience
Yeah.
is wondering, who is that guy? How does he?
Yeah.
What's
and then it's
that all
it's
about?
much more like sweeter. It's much more interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because now because you have time to get invested in the character, and you have time to think about those questions. You know, like we say, like if I just like you play with the wedding band, you play with the toy car and stuff like that. The other player like notice when you mentioned that. You just mentioned that, and then it's like, and at some point when they get the reveal, now they invested, and now like it's still like it's their character that asks, and then the characters are that you get a little bit of a story, and then it's like, oh man, now you get the feel. You get it's not just like some random lordom. It's something that you got to know this guy now. You know, you feel like you're in the mindset of your character, and then you get this thing, and it's like, oh man, that's touching now, right?
Yeah.
I'm feeling something, like I'm human.
I'll
That's what
watch
it makes-
Travelers.
What it is,
I'll
right?
watch Travelers sessions online where the referee just info dumps every planet on the map to the players, tells them
Oh, yeah.
everything about the planet before they even decide to go there or not.
Mm-hmm.
They even know what will happen if they go to that planet.
Yeah.
That's
Wow,
just like
that's
reading
okay.
the encyclopedia. That's all that is.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like this comment from Nicholas there. Getting in the skin of the character is the real deal. That's why you have to tear off your own. is the real deal. You haven't find yourself surprised by what your character end up doing. I had that experience today while playing with Rick,
right on.
Yeah.
and he explained a bit. The king was on his wall, the name and stat of every fallen hero under the leech. You got to grind to
Oh,
I
he's
thought-
talking
I
about
thought
the grinding. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was a continuation of this thing, but I guess I was wrong. But yeah, what do you say? Like getting surprised by what your character does. I think that happened to me oftentimes, right? Just like you get in the mindset, you get to know your character, and at some point, like you just like some situation arise and say like, well, I guess this is how this character would react. You know, like at some point you get so much into it that you don't have to think about it. It's just like it
Yeah,
just
you don't
makes
think about it.
sense. Yeah,
It just blurts out, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh my god, did I say that?
yeah.
Mhm.
My character
Yeah, it's-
spoke without my permission. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's cool though, because as your characters are doing this, they're creating more flavor for the game. It becomes more flavor for your sandbox,
Mhm.
and it gives you more tools to work with. And wow, it's a magical thing. It truly is. Between all the players, working this magic together as their characters are evolving, and you're learning more about them, and the characters are. Players are learning more about their characters, just like Nicholas is saying, and they're learning, and at the same time they're learning that they carry the narrative as they're going through this, and they're. I remember when we first started, they were like, "Oh, did I say a little too much? Am I intruding on the game master's idea of what's happening here?" I'm like, no. Just disregard what I think as the game master. Just totally disregard it, because I give you the essential tools in every scene that you're coming up with, be it whatever arrangement of things are in the vicinity of your character. I don't care if you decide that
And don't show a picture after they've imagined what it looks like.
Yeah.
Either show them a picture right off the bat, or don't show them a picture and they just imagine it.
Yeah, but our RPG Exile said once my player got it, I GM 3 games worth of player. I could almost see the mushroom cloud come out of the top of their head and glint in their eyes. No jokes.
Yeah,
I can relate to that. Absolutely.
That's why I think that's why I do what I'm doing, and I assume there's the same for you, right? Because it goes from like this hobby goes from it's something to do to get together and stuff like that.
I have something to do.
This is fucking amazing.
Yeah,
waste time. I have time to waste.
Yeah,
I'll be. Sadly, I'm losing a player. He's moving away. This was a guy that we introduced to the hobby after he'd retired, so he's 65 plus. Never had done anything like this ever in his life, and but he's a creative guy and he's kind of interesting. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try to sell you on playing role-playing games. And he would good on him. He's always down to try something new. And he made a comment once about how this is so unlike when we were getting into this really 3D type play, where we're in character as much as we can be. And he said, there's qualitatively something different here than playing a board game. He's played lots of board games. He likes board games. I like board games. But he said, this is something different. And I think that is that mushroom cloud, that light bulb that, wait a second, we've stumbled onto something here, and you just can't go back. And so now, even though he's new to the hobby and he's well into his retirement, he's moving to quite a ways away, so hours and hours away. He's already talking about starting up his own group when he gets there.
Cool.
Just fantastic.
That's what
I just told him, I just reiterated, if you want to have this kind of experience again, just remember when you're recruiting your players, let them know what it is that we're trying to do here. And then as long as they get that, then away we go.
Because it's right, like it's different than what you can get from board game. It's different than what you can get from video game. It's different than what you can get from war game. And people that don't get it, like it's just like, well, you know what? It's no skin off my back.
No.
To keep with the image, but you're cheating yourself for something great. You're cheating something. You're missing out, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Shauna, you want to say?
Earlier you were talking about how it was just you were just killing time, playing the game.
Yep.
Now it's like you want to make time for it, and when you do have time, you don't want to waste any of it during the game session. It's hard to explain, but
and
it's just hard. It's hard to explain.
And also, like you don't feel like you're like, I don't feel like I'm wasting my time. Like it's not like I'm not like killing time playing those games, because I feel like I'm getting something from it. Right?
Yeah, there's more engagement. You're just more engaged in it, and
I experience I experience some emotion. I experience some I got to think like somebody else, right? I feel like I'm feeling like I'm like like we're joking about that, like when Scott Garibay say like, oh, they're like a human improvement engine, right? Like I think it's like he's saying it in a very bombastic way, like, and he's like Scott Garibay, so like everything he does like is turned to 11, right? But I think it's not wrong on that one, to be honest.
Well, it's like an in-character engine,
a human development and a human improvement engine.
I don't know about that, but what I can say is there's when you're on the right track, like what RPG Exile is saying, is when your players show up and they're just more excited to be in character or get into the game rather than just talk about what's going on. Like we always leave some time to, hey, how was your week? What's going on? How are the kids? That yada yada. But you can tell immediately they're like, okay, yeah, we don't have much time. Let's just get right into this.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to get right into this. And
Exactly.
they're just so excited for it.
We'll do that talk afterwards. You know, when we
I talked
decompress.
to you in Discord already about this stuff. Let's go.
That's right. Yeah,
I'm ready.
We'll talk
I'm
about
ready.
that after.
But like we all have like time to pass time, right? When we have like free time and stuff like that, we have like different way to occupy this time. And I think like not all of those way are equal. Like
I'll play a board game, no problem.
Yeah. But I think
would I go back to playing D&D? No. No. That's hell. That's hell on earth.
But what I was saying, I think there's some hobby and something you can do to pass time that's gonna bring you more as a human being. Like, you know, if you spend time in the gym, you know, if that's what you do to spend time, right? Well, you're gonna get something from it more than if you just like watch Netflix without really watching or just scroll TikTok, right? Stuff like that, right? So I think there's something like that. I think like when playing RPG, if you play it in the 3D, 4D way, right, you're gonna get more from it, and it's gonna leave you something as a human being as well, because like you are putting yourself in the mindset of somebody else, and that's something that's useful in real life.
Well, yes, because each of us, as if we're well-rounded, healthy human beings, we have to have a creative we have to have some kind of creative outlet, whether that's music or art or something. Like we need, as humans, we need to have that creativity. We all or we can stamp it out and then just inhabit the couch with Cheetos all over us. But if we're going to be healthy, we have to have that creative outlet. Well, what are we doing? The creative outlet in role-playing games is I'm creating a character. I'm creating this character. I'm not creating a story, so let's not get too ahead of ourselves. We're creating the character. The character will inhabit a world which we are also creating.
Yeah, the story creates itself, right?
Just and then the story will be a byproduct. But
the story creates itself by those characters.
Yes,
meeting each other.
Story is just after.
So it's a true creative outlet, and that's important because that's why people do that. That's why everyone needs to have some kind of, whether that's gardening or something, some kind of creative outlet.
And I think you should have hobbies that are challenging. Your hobbies should challenge yourself.
Absolutely.
And like I like when we play RPG that we challenge ourselves.
Yep.
My hobby is viewing shorts on TikTok.
That's right.
All day.
That's the danger of Reels or TikTok. That's the danger there. Is that there's no creative, you're not actually doing anything creative, and you're going to spend hours and hours and hours on it. And at the end, you have nothing to show for it. Nothing at all. You've been better just coloring something or because at least there you've got something, or even just building a puzzle would be a more productive creative outlet than just watching Reels all day or TikTok or whatever.
Yeah. It's your life. Yeah. You have to fit it with something, right? And just like, fit it with something that also fill you back, right? Just like
create something.
Nicolas says he's gonna fuse with the cat and become a jellicle cat. One can only hope.
What?
We're gonna play a cat game with the Bastard Sword rules, and
I don't know if Bastard Sword would be the right fit for that. You know, like might not be the right system for it. But yeah, jellicle cat. Then for the jellicle ball, maybe I'm gonna be chosen. Yeah. Thank you for Justin to remind everyone to like and subscribe and participate in the comment. Yes, we all want.
That's a good moderator there. You're a good moderator, Justin. When you're not, saying wildly inappropriate things, you're a good moderator.
I don't believe what I just heard MrMax say reading a book might be valuable. I thought he was against reading. I think most people shouldn't know what to read. Shouldn't be taught how to read. And I'm generally against book, but for the people that deserve to be taught how to read, some book can be of use. Am I going to be treated like I call elitist again?
Yep.
Yes. Crispy Eyes flashes red as button comment for speaking conversation across the screen. Yeah.
Factually true.
Yeah. I'm trying to catch up a bit. Oh man, I'm behind. We're talking about the rabbit. Yeah. Okay. Oh, I caught up mostly. Yeah. So the other thing I want to talk about, like, is vaguely related to sandbox and what we talk about so far. I think we made a good point about sandbox, right? As being the opposite of railroad.
So
and
what do you say to players and GMs that think that a sandbox is literally sand and you're sticking your characters in the sand without motivations or goals?
Well, if you
And you don't when it's the player's turn, they don't know what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Those kind of people make me nervous. Like they're going to suddenly start eating their dice or, shoving crayons up their nose.
I think you would know whether or not the person's going to be malleable to a sandbox by the way they approach the session 0. Because during the session 0, if they're not adding anything, they're not saying anything, they're just confused. You'll have to say, okay, what are you confused about here? We have to understand. If you're going to have an issue playing in here because you don't understand what is happening, you'll have to lay it out to them to say, okay, when we're together on a session 0, we're creating all the knowns of this world, and you have to kind of explain it to them, and you'll have to explain to them, hey, and as a player in this game, you're going to have to add some narrative to this as well, because we're not going to go in here like totally blank slate, blank piece of paper. We're laying foundation here of something. I have a premise in my head. What it's going to be. You'll discover what it is. During the game. Well, what do you want in this game? And people are like, what are you doing? What is this? Why are you?
People get sideswiped or ambushed in these games because a proactive player in a 1D, 2D game, guess what kind of players those are? Those are the ones where the GM says such and such happened, you got a decent roll, and then the GM says to the player, now you explain how that looked. Explain how your player did such and such to the bad guy. And the player's like, what? You're supposed to say all the things. The players are out of, what are they called? They're out of their element.
Yeah.
When they're asked by the GM, describe to everyone at the table what that looks like. How your character swung the sword and chopped off someone's head or whatever. And the player's like, what? But we're doing that all the time in our games.
Yeah.
It's like, it's instinct. It's reflex action almost. On our turn, we say what our characters are doing. After a die roll, boom.
Oh.
But these guys who play in 2D and 1D, they can't phantom it. They don't know what to do. They're dumbstruck. The players don't know what to say when they're asked, what does your sword look like that you always carry around with you? +2 sword? I don't know.
Sean's touched on something. I think I'd just like to make a comment on this.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sean, what you're saying is, like, just to back up, when we played as little boys in sandboxes, okay, what were we doing? We were all creating something new with our imagination. That's what you do in a sandbox. You're all building something that wasn't there before. You're creating something that all together. It's not that one person creates something in the sandbox and then everyone else. No, that's not how I had a sandbox growing up until the stupid cats found it, and then it was just a living box.
One kid might ask, where are we putting the dungeon? Real quick, where's the dungeon going to be? Because they're trying to construct. They're trying to construct the landscaping for it.
My point is this: a lot of people seem to have a more or less positive view of sandbox, but I find it very unfortunate that so many of them will then hear us talking about co-creation, which is a sandbox, and then they'll say, "Well, you can't have that." I mean, no. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's just an absolute free for all. It's mayhem.
Oh, those games never work.
Sleeping together.
When they say like those games never work, well, how many games do we have now?
Yeah, I mean,
posted publicly online.
It frustrates me a little bit. I'm like, that's fine if you don't. But then to say, well, I like sandbox gaming. I'm like, well, what do you mean by sandbox gaming? Is that like, because I picture sandbox as, well, we're all creating the world together. Like, well, why aren't we okay with a little bit of co-creation then? you're not really playing a sandbox. You're just creating the world, and no one else can move a grain of sand in this world that you've created.
If the GM didn't approve.
Unless
it's Wizard of
you have to have
Oz.
approval. I'd like to have that. I'm going to have to send a memo. I need that form in triplicate before I allow you to move one single grain of sand in this sand. But supposedly it's a sandbox, which means we all create it together. But you know what I mean? Like I don't understand
it's the Wizard of Oz
hard
GM.
line, this bold-faced line between sandbox and co-creation. In my mind, it's kind of we're doing the same thing.
Together, right?
They go together.
Yeah. Do you think
If they're going to be effective, it goes together.
Do you think people think we fake our game?
I think they do.
You think we come up with a script and decide
all
what we come, and then, we just pretend to role play?
Or it's all performance, and I think that there's which is unfortunate because we keep on posting these games and we're, to be fair, we are still in the early days of this. We are very much still experimenting.
You know
what I mean?
Early.
Like we're early on this, and we're
Not
experimenting.
even a year
and
old.
We're making mistakes, and we're trying things out, and we
talk
keep
about
on
the mistake we make.
We talk about it.
And you swap out players, and
we
you swap out
games,
rules,
and we swap out
and
rules.
you
I know.
swap out
It's a disaster.
the 4D stuff.
Yeah,
because you're
we're
trying
all over
out
the
different
place.
things.
Because we're still experimenting, and that's not me trying to make the claim, because I can already hear the critics saying, "Oh, these guys think that they're doing something new, but we were doing this back in 1973 or whatever."
Yeah. And they stopped
That's
for
fine.
some reason.
It still can be new to me, and we're still, as a group of us, we're still trying to feel our way through what works, what doesn't. Anyway, we're still.
They didn't do it long enough. They probably played one game 40 years ago, like 4D, and didn't know what was going on and quit. Went back to the old, let's play by the rules. Rules was read. Rules was written.
It's just I think it's exceptionally hard to run a sandbox in a completely meta talk only game like that. How do you do that? That seems.
And then it all become like bargaining, right? Just like, oh, can there be that thing?
I've even that terrible thought has even entered into some of these books where they talk about a negotiation between the player and the game master. I'm like, what is this? That's awful. That's terrible.
You have some sort of corporate dollars you get to spend, like Disney bucks or something. You get to spend to have your way.
It's like they stop mid session to go back to session 0 mode, right?
Yeah.
Oh, could that be that thing there? Like, well, just fucking make it so, right? And like that's also like
they don't even have social contracts.
Like make it so. Make a note, because the next time it comes up, it's going to be exactly the same. Like just as long as it's consistent. That's okay.
The big thing I often say, like for GM, like it's like let go of control, right? Learn that it's not your game, it's everybody's game, right? It's not your world. And it's the character's world. They live in that world. They know the world, right? The player controls the character. You have to fucking let it go a bit, right? You don't control everything. It's not your story you're there to tell. That's what you want to do. Go fucking write a novel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did a practice session for Tomb of Lime and Solos. Those two guys took off. They took off right away. I'm just the referee listening. And I don't know why they needed. They were already good. They watched our videos. They know what 4D is, but still.
Well, that's cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like talking about the Tomb of Lime is there, and we were talking about you. That's about you earlier. That's true. And we're saying
nothing but good things to say. Super impressed.
What you made was amazing, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully, you got a couple more subs in there at least.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, his channel's just exploding. It's fantastic, and
he's marketing. He's marketing his channel somewhere, so he gets viewers.
He's doing great.
I'm going to have an RPG Crusade section on the website. It's just Tome of Lime, all his stuff. He explains it very well. He's very
well, very concise, good examples, stuff like that. Yeah, very good, very well spoken.
Well thought out too. Yeah. Like it's all well thought out.
And even it's amazing how many people apparently think the alternative to making an interesting story is making an empty, boring world.
They don't watch his videos. Boring. The people that argue in the comments, they don't watch the video.
I'm convinced you're right, Sean.
They see the
convinced you're right.
title and they just assume, oh, he's going to be talking about the 4D stuff.
Yeah, a lot of people assume from title, from headline, from terms, right? Just like even with the sandbox thing, like people assume what it means, right? Just like
It's the Wizard of Oz syndrome.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
He's the Wizard of Oz. He's hiding the guy behind the curtain.
Yep.
Pay attention to me. I have things to say. Don't ignore the guy behind the curtain. The guy behind the curtain is the 4D guy.
Yeah. You can just ignore us. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's a
Can't
double-edged
ignore it.
sword. That euphemism or metaphor is a double-edged sword. Because in one way, he is ignoring. The 4D guy is ignoring. He's control. But think of it this way: there's the Wizard of Oz, and then there's the guy behind the curtain. But if you disconnect the two from each other, that's what I'm trying to do. Obviously, in the movie, he's controlling the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Who's trying to control someone else.
Yeah. And you know, like what Bacon Gaming say, like, yes, using role-playing format to write a story is the worst way to write a story. Just write a novel. And if you want to fucking write a novel inspired by what happened in your role-playing game session that you did, that's fine. But
that is fine. And there's a great fantasy series that I love called Tales of Malazan the Fallen.
Oh, yeah.
And the inspiration for that was the author's GURPS game. And it's a great story. Like, it's a good story. I'm not convinced that it was, I don't know what their games look like, but the story is fantastic. Love it. But it probably to try to force that on a game. Yep. No, it's not gonna. That's not gonna work. That's awful.
Yeah.
Just write a book.
Exactly.
Be creative. Write a book. It's awesome.
I have a question.
You're good.
In Wizard of Oz, does the wizard ever show up after they find out who the wizard really is? Does he ever turn the machine? Does he ever turn the green head back on?
No.
Once they've figured him out.
Yeah.
I once read Wicked. Have you read Wicked? It's
they made a movie too, no?
It's the Wizard of Oz, but from the Wicked witch.
Yep.
You know, it's from her perspective. The whole thing.
The one that doesn't get killed, right? The Wicked Witch of
the green. Yeah. Well, I think she gets killed.
Because maybe throws water.
One get killed by the owls that fall down, and one get killed by
no, not that one. The other
one that gets killed by the water.
Yep. Yeah, the one that gets killed by the water.
Yeah, the other witch we don't see. Like is the other good witch, I guess.
One got crushed by a house.
Yeah.
And then one was the good witch, one was the bad witch. The fourth one, I don't think we even see till later in the books.
She's named Glenda.
There's like 14 of those books, some crazy number.
Good witch is one that smell of barbecue. Oh, I get what you mean there. Yeah, Glenda, just a no. She's named Glenda, the good witch. The other witch we don't see. I wasn't just like being facetious. That's canonically your name. Yeah.
It's all Rick's fault. It says.
Yeah, it always is.
Tomb of Lime.
Yeah. How many subs do you have now?
I thought I was joining a small community of role players. You are, sir, and you are more than welcome.
Rick, did you
as is anyone else, by the way,
YouTube somewhere so the world could see it?
Oh, I don't know. It's maybe he's getting all the flack because everybody sees my videos and they're like, oh, it's just Rick, and now Rick's commenting on Tome of Lime stuff, and we got to go ahead and start. Laying down the smack.
We're a small community. You're absolutely right. We're a small community, but you know what? We're open. If anyone wants to give it a shot.
Yep.
Please send your friends.
Yeah. But no, it's good. I think we are growing, and I think we are making wave in some extent, right? Just like it's encouraging.
Every day the Google search? If you search 4D, I think Max, you come up on it or something.
Yes, yeah. He's one of the first ones that comes up. Yeah,
that's good. I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
If you do a Google search, though, you don't find any of this being talked about before we started talking about it. Know what I mean?
No, you must be wrong, because this has been done since the 80s, and we've done this. This is well-trod ground, and
I think what may have happened in the past is maybe the players decided to gain agency, and then the game master wasn't 4D, so therefore it didn't match. Or the game master is 4D, the players weren't proactive in being characters, and that could have happened. And they were like, "Oh, this is a wash. This isn't gonna work."
Well, if you go to
You need both sides. You need both sides working in order for.
if you go to the D&D website, they flat out say on their homepage that D&D is a storytelling game.
Yeah, they do.
Oh man, that's something I want to talk about, like storytelling game, like story game and stuff like that, because that's also one term that people throw about that fucking mean nothing, and people just we're being accused of being story gamer. We rail against story gamer. Some other people, like everybody talk, oh, those are story gamer, just like a term said, I don't like the way you play the game, basically, just mean nothing.
They hate storytelling games, and then you watch their YouTube actual play, and what's the GM doing? He's doing all the talking, telling them a story.
Yeah, I'm not even hung up over the idea that maybe this isn't innovative in the sense that it's not that no one has ever done this before. I'm quite prepared to yield that ground. Fine, I accept that. But I think it's quite. I don't think it's it. I think it's incontrovertible that there's most of the games that are out there are not trying to be in character all the time. It's been called silly. It's it's
impossible
why are you
to
doing
do
that? It's just method acting. You should just take an improv course. You're
scripted. You're acting,
drama
voice
kids,
acting, LARPing.
And when we say being in character all the time, sometimes we do have to communicate.
Yeah, sometimes we have to. Absolutely, there's
it's a goal.
Things.
We try to be
Not
in
only,
character.
It's the goal. It's aspirational.
We're aiming to be in character all the time.
Yes,
you're in character and you're doing dialogue in character.
Sometimes we do have to say it's a 17, right? Oh, just I got that's the result of my dice. Sometimes it happens, right?
You have to, and that's fine because there still is the chaos of the dice, and there's still the mechanics of the system.
Reduce that and make it as transparent as possible. Right?
Exactly.
So
we're just focused. We're focused on being in character as much as we can.
If I have to ask where's Rick's, if I have to say where's Rick's character again, I'll say it in character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Rick's playing, Joe Schmo. I'll say, where's Joe Schmo? In character.
I'm over here by the boxes.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is great.
Joe, where are you? Yeah.
Just a quick, who's where, who's what.
Open, welcoming, and generous, I find. You must be mistaken because we're clearly elitist that trying to keep and people out.
We want people to take the white pill. Absolutely. We want people to say, look, this is, I'm going to get so much more. We want to take what you enjoy with the hobby and add to it by introducing back into the hobby the
Role
thing
play. Like
Tomb of Lime says, the essential element of it, the thing that makes it so different, which is the role play. It's not the combat side of things, as fun as that can be. It's not that. It's the role play. We want to introduce that back in.
It's like there's more to Play-Doh than just grabbing all the colors and mixing them together to make purple great.
Yeah. I want to take all of these 5e players, these people new to the hobby that they've only experienced a very role play light game. I want to take those people and run them through a 3D game, maybe even 4D if they're ready and we can trust them, but that has to be shown. That's why we do practices.
It has to be shown.
Like between 4D and 3D, it's a small.
It takes half an hour.
It's a small step. If we can get you that in character all the time, or as much as we can, of course, all the time is aspirational. So it's most of the time, they're going to come away from that saying, wow, like that's what I was missing. I thought I was going to get it, but instead we just end up, reading the monster manual together or whatever.
Yeah.
Someone reads
the GM
story
opens the book, reads from chapter 1.
But it's sad because when somebody
and you're in a tavern for 2 hours.
Somebody gets on their way to do that, right? And they go to Reddit to ask, I heard about this concept.
Don't go to
of
Reddit.
Having a character motivation and goal and acting on that and be proactive.
You don't need
and
to do that.
was talking about that in Black Magic, and then people say, well, those guys are right wing, so don't fucking do it.
Oh, this isn't political. I'm not political on YouTube at all. I have strong feelings about it, but I'm not. On this, you have your other channel. You have your old channel for that.
You don't have to be right wing or left wing.
No.
our left wing to
we
do
don't
role
have
play.
an ideological filter, do we, Rick? Like we don't.
No.
Oh well, you don't send that guy an invite to the Discord because we think he might be,
We've
politically
had
inclined this way.
people
Can they
that
role
are
play?
yeah. We just want to.
It's a merit thing.
Yeah.
Can they
We
role
just want
play?
you to be able to role play. That's all.
How hard?
And
Anyway,
How hard can it be?
In a way,
as we define it,
right? So
right?
it doesn't
Yeah.
matter who you are as a person that much.
No,
Yeah.
because you're not going to be playing you. You're going to be playing
Just,
another character.
Have clothes on if you're in the camera, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do have table conventions. Yes. Being clothed is one of them. We give Max a bit of a pass on his muscle shirts. That's as far as we're willing to go. Now that I know he has that shirt, that's going to end in the social contract. We're going to say Max has to wear the shirt.
That's a fine shirt. That's a modern fit shirt. That's perfect for your
perfect.
body. Not relaxed fit.
Absolute great.
Some people just don't know what to wear.
Just I don't wear it in the winter, right? Just
No. Same here. I've got the summer shirts on. But it's I really do think from my experience for the people I've tried to introduce this to in person, it's a game changer. Like you have people come back and say, well, just like I think it was Bacon Gaming that was talking about. When it happens and you have that, people will remember that. It is that return to that childhood play pretend that is so captivating and you still remember. And anyway, it's a creative outlet.
When it happens, you don't go back. You don't go back to the old way.
You can't go back. That's if anything, that's the danger. Once
and you have to find new friends sometimes.
You're going to have a hard time going back to the same. It's just not going to be satisfying.
I think that's an interesting comment, like what Bacon Gaming says. Like, besides argue that D&D isn't a story game, it's a combat board game. I think it's kind of both. I think it's like the GM tell a story.
It's a
the
story for
other player
GM
are not involved in.
Yeah.
And then at some point there's a combat, and now the player get to play the game.
The way
it's like the Nutcracker. It's a musical play, but it's got some dances in it.
You can tell that it is that because if you look in the in some of these games in their game master guide or the equivalent of game master advice, they'll say things like, well, fudging the dice is okay if this is going to be a little too, you're at this right point right here and you want it for the story of it. It's going to be more interesting if this happens, then you can just do that. Like that's not a game anymore. That's a storytelling thing. You're taking away that chaos element of the dice.
You're supposed to get the singing sword, but you failed your roll. Do you want to roll again? Keep rolling until you
perception
succeed.
Check. Can you
come back in a month and try again? Try your luck at getting the singing sword.
Mm-hmm.
And you're mentioning Crispy that people say like what we're doing now is not new and stuff like that, and we don't claim it is, right? Just like it's true.
No,
but
we've put a new label on it. That doesn't make it.
Yeah, because I was like I was reading up on like Ron Edwards, right? Which the guy that made like GNS Theory. I'm trying to have him on the show because I'd like to talk to him about like different things. Because there's very few people that actually like make theory about role-playing game and game design and stuff like that in the role-playing field. He's one of those, right? And I think it could be an interesting conversation to have him on. But at some point he had like this he still did thing after like GNS Theory, which was like back in like 20 years ago or something, right? And at some point they were having this thing like called they would call it Story Now. And I was reading on to that, and it's very similar to what we call what we talk about the 4D, right? Talking about like character lead, like the character or the one leading the story, what's happening, like the player being proactive and stuff like that, right? A lot of elements that are similar. So yes, we didn't invent it. We put a label on it, and
is anyone using this story now?
No, it's called 40 now. We fucking stole
that Edwards.
There's utility
Edwards,
in naming it.
The what's his name? Ron Edwards, the guy that was doing the Forge stuff. He doesn't even play games that he tried to promote 20 years ago. He's gone back to just playing D&D 2D.
Well, he also played like he got his own game too, Circle of Ends and stuff like that, right? Just like but
he never plays it on his channel.
Oh, you're the one to do. Yeah, I guess you follow that. I know you did like a, but I want to talk to him
Runeslinger.
because,
Runeslinger played that game, I think.
oh really? I want to talk to him because he's one of the few people that actually like spend some thought about theorizing about the game, right? About this hobby, right?
Yeah.
I was telling that in the chat, in BLG chat, like we're in a this hobby is stuck in like in the naive phase, right? There's like there's no theorist, there's no serious designer. People just do stuff because we did stuff before, right? Just like the games are released with no thought put in the design. You just like copy and stuff like that, and you know we pick and choose from those 3 games that we mix together. The published game that are just the house rule. So
okay, my eyes just flashed red because I saw a great comment here. Bacon Gaming, you want to go with that, but the most exciting thing for the players, because I think this is 100% right. In my experience, this is right. So he's talking about how he calls D&D just a combat board game. What's that?
Just read
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, you said okay, Bacon Gaming says, and then
he
you read
says, "Oh, sorry, I messed that up. Sorry about that."
Wait, so, just listening.
But the most exciting thing for the players around the table to hear is roll initiative. That is so true. It's become a meme. Even it's so true. Oh, roll initiative, right? Like I once joked I was going to get a T-shirt that says "Roll Initiative," and everyone in the know would know what that meant, right? Because now there's something for them to do. That's why it's so exciting, because they had nothing. They were just along for the ride until they say "Roll Initiative," and then you have a degree of autonomy is allowed to you by the game master, which is now you're finally into. Okay, now this is the
recess.
Part that I can be in the game, but it's only this one part. It's only until okay, we're out of initiative now. And as soon as we say I'm out of initiative, then you can go back to your phone, watching TikTok, Reels, whatever.
That's what I'm saying. There's two phases. Like there's like the GM telling a story.
There's a GM story,
and then the player playing this board game.
And then you play the board game, and it's the board game part of it.
Maybe the board game gonna impact the story. Probably not.
Probably not.
The class lecture's over. You get to play outside for an hour and then come back for more class lecture.
Yeah, like you said, that's what you said, Sean. Like it's recess. Now you get to play a bit. Yeah. Now go back to your seat and listen to what I have to tell you.
Now sit down, be quiet, and listen to my story as I tell you all the things that happen.
Yeah, I'm going to give out some gold stars to people.
And then, I see my players aren't really engaged. So I go on to YouTube and I search for advice. And guess what? They tell me that they give me the best advice. They just say, "Oh, just do more combat." Oh, perfect. Yeah. Because I'll just say roll initiative more often, and now they'll be engaged.
Make the player play the game as like combat, but that it's not really combat, like a race or a big pie baking contest.
And what do you remember from the game session? How many times you rolled a 20 or a 1?
Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah. So I think you're right.
How'd you do in bingo? I won.
It's not. What we're trying to do is say,
like, tell me a story today. I don't know, like if it's just an actual song. I don't know music.
It is, yeah. I think I know it.
You want to sing it?
No, not even a little bit. But I think that's what we're trying to address is that, especially in a sandbox. Back to this original topic, you can't have an effective sandbox when the only time that you're creating anything in the sandbox is when the GM tells you roll initiative. And that's the only time my character gets to shine is when I'm in some stupid little combat thing that is meaningless because we just randomly rolled it off a table 2 seconds ago.
And if your character misses, you get to sit around for 15 minutes and do nothing.
No, you finished. Anyway. But like this, tell me a story. Like like that's the motto I have almost. Like don't tell me a story, bro. Right? People are talking about like making a T-shirt. Like that's one thing I can put on a T-shirt. Like don't tell me a story, bro.
Yeah,
right?
Like, I don't care about your stupid elf. Don't tell me about your elf. No one cares about your elf.
Yeah.
And the players only know what's on their character sheet. They only see their character as a stat block.
Yeah. A bunch of buttons they can push.
And whatever +2 swords they might have.
Nicholas was saying to Bacon Gaming, Shonner jokes about the audience player, but it's real. I've seen it with my very eyes. Some just enjoy being around other while they listen. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's what we're saying. Like, it's just something to do, right? I'm gonna come here, half listen to what you say, and then just like drink some beer, and I'm listening to your story.
Yeah, last week I watched a game. 2 of the players didn't say more than a sentence in a 2-hour game session.
Oh, hello,
That
Sean
was the
Sherry.
weirdest thing ever.
Started to come back and the magic happened. Well, for a lot of people, that's what it is, right?
Yep.
Yep.
Gentlemen, I've got to get going here. I'm sorry, I've got to leave. I know you'll keep going for another 17 hours, but
actually, I'm probably gonna make this one short, to be honest, because I have like church function tomorrow morning. I have to get up early.
There you go. Good for you.
So,
I was just going to say one other thing in that I think effective sandboxes also require, it's very important that you do not over prepare, and especially you don't try to do multi session preparation. Like, so your preparation is always limited to the initial obstacle for that session.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's the university
anything beyond
professor.
that, you're not gonna. It's not gonna work.
The uni professor preparing all of his lectures for his semester.
For semester, exactly. Don't do
He's
that.
got lesson plans all the way out, all the way till the end of whatever the semester ends at. Yeah, you can't. If you're running a sandbox and you're calling and it's actually a sandbox, you cannot prepare more than just the obstacle to start out this session. And you think about the other things happening in the world, of course, at that time, but not beyond that.
I'm thinking when I'm just running a game, I'm thinking all the time, then what happens? Then what happens? And the players are answering these things without me prompting them.
Yeah, and when you have proactive player too, you have time to think.
Yes, you do.
During the session.
Yes, you do.
Have like the world react to what's happening, because you don't have to do 90% of the talking.
Yeah.
That's a big fucking difference.
I talk when my NPC's doing something.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Or I'll describe the scope of the area that they're in.
Yeah. Yeah. Bacon Gaming was saying D&D 30 minutes of fun crammed into 4 hour long session. That's very true. And that's something also I talk often, like, because we sometimes like make the comparison of being like cinematic, think of it in a movie and stuff like that. Sometimes I say, like, if we play like for 3 hours, right? If we were to make a movie out of the session, it might be cut down to a 1 hour for a 90-minute movie, right? Because of course, like, it's not prescripted. It's like when you write a script, you trim the fat afterward.
Mm-hmm.
Like those people, they're gonna fucking like do like 5-hour session, and then if you had to trim it down as a movie, you would have like 30 minutes of stuff or 20 minutes of stuff happening, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Killing goblins near a fountain for 3 hours.
Or they try to open a door.
The doors.
Oh,
Yeah.
This game is just really about doors.
Yeah.
That's
fighting in a
what
hallway
about.
between doors.
Yeah, that's what D&D is about. It's been opening door to get to the next room to open the next door, right?
I check for traps.
Yeah.
All of our
Is the door
stuff
locked?
in 4D, everything's role played, even the combat, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Everything is role played.
Mm-hmm.
And there isn't anything that isn't role played in the
And
in
like
the
that's
game.
always like the like I often point to this boarding party session that we did, right? Like, because that the session was like, we never had a session that was like combat heavy, and so let's try to do one. We did that one. It was basically like all combat, all session, but it was also all role play. People make this dichotomy between
Was
role
that the
play.
sci-fi game?
It was a traveler game.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, I thought the one with the werewolf was combat heavy inside the mine. Even though it's quick and fast. And,
Well, there's only one combat in the whole game, but
it was great though. That was a great session.
Well, I'm glad you liked it.
I think that was one of our best one shots. Like, that didn't go to another, because most of our games have gone a couple sessions.
That was a one shot.
Yeah.
No 2-shot, no 3-shot.
Yeah.
But there was social combat going on, not just fighting combat.
Yeah,
that's all kinds of.
And there was inter-party conflicts. And
exactly.
It was great.
Yes, the game he's talking about, Bacon Gaming, it's called The Witch of Duncanville. Yeah, you can find it on on our channel, Duncanville. Yeah,
you will be speechless on how good Phil is.
Oh yeah,
at playing his character. He is so good.
Yeah.
Go check it out. It's worth your time. It's not a terribly long session either.
He kept a straight face the whole time.
The best
fantastic.
villain you could ever have as a
Unreal.
player.
Which was a
Awesome.
Team 40 member, right?
It was
Just
so awesome.
He was so good.
Yeah.
But that's, and I talk about like the experimental approach we have, and
Mhm.
in this game, I went there. So like we didn't have like back then. We never had like really player die, like character die. I said that's something I might want to explore, and we never had like what people call PvP, which I rather call character versus character because that's really what it is, right?
Mhm.
We never had that, and I say so I'm gonna bake that into the game. So that was the experimental approach I had with this game, right? I say like let's see how that, and it paid off.
It was awesome.
Yeah, I asked players, are we playing with the safeties on or off?
Yeah.
Is the danger room, can it kill us or no?
Yeah.
And,
Phil is indeed
yeah.
awesome.
He is awesome. Phil is fantastic. He's a great player, and he's a really good game master too.
Yes.
He comes from World of Darkness, so that always helps.
Yeah, and
That's
he
always
was
a
a new
plus.
one too. He was one of those guys that was just like listening to us, and he just like fucking say like, "Well, I want part of that," and he just reached out and said, "Well, I'm gonna fucking run a game with you, and I'm trying to do that. I like what you bring." And said, "Well, fine," and then like there you go.
Yep. That's why
He's
the more
great.
of these video channels we have, the more people will find the whole topic.
And that's also something like sometimes we say like, oh, people you should come play with us and stuff like that. And I guess we can have our gaming group established now, and I like those guys. I like playing with them. Like I'm not opposed to playing with other people sometime as well. But like, make your own group as well. I want to see more group as well. Like find each other, and then like you ear to our stock, make your own channel and talk about your experience. Like try to do it at your own table, and then try how it goes. Try what you learn from it. Try what worked well, what didn't work well. Find other people online and make your own group, right? Just like, let's fucking take over this thing.
Absolutely. Passing out white pills everywhere we go. Like this is it's so good.
Yeah. If you ever want to watch anything that's a 4D, just type 4D roleplay in the in YouTube, and
you may have to
you'll
sift
find
through a bunch of people that don't like it for whatever reason.
But
if you can actually go and watch the games, which I think that's the most valuable thing to watch. Watch the games.
You gotta say you'll get stronger, but the scar will make you stronger.
It will, absolutely it will.
You don't have fucking thin skin, right? That's why
take
that's
your
why
lumps,
you tear it off.
Get better. We're absolutely committed on getting better. We make mistakes. You can watch the games, you'll see the mistakes.
Yes.
And after the game sessions, you critique and ask how did the session go? What was good? What was crap? What needs fixing?
Just like if we were making a sculpture or doing painting something, I'd be happy to get some critique on that.
Because at the end of the session, you're gonna have questions because you couldn't ask the questions during the game. So after the game, you're gonna be like, okay, so whatever happened to that NPC I was with, and the NPCs or the runners like, I forgot about that player.
Yeah.
Or maybe saving them for later for another one shot or something.
Oh, Max, you want to post the link to your?
Yes, I'm looking. Talk a bit. I'm gonna post that.
So just hold on, Bacon. We're gonna get you that. We're gonna get it. To you.
There you go. I posted the link in chat there.
There you go. Perfect.
Want to find it? Yeah, the Witch of Duncanville, which is just like Dark Valley. I guess.
I'm glad you came up with this topic, Max, because really we are approaching every one of these game sessions as if it's a sandbox, in the sense that it's something where there's no plotting. We haven't plotted out things. There's no.
Well, even if the setting is established, you're still going to sandbox in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You're not going to go door to door like in most Call of Cthulhu games, playing Scooby-Doo characters, trying to solve the mystery. No, everyone's going to go their own way, their own direction. They're going to meet other NPCs before they're supposed to. If you play linearly, you might run into the bad guy who's killing some stripper on the street when you're not supposed to meet him until the end of the session.
I wanted to also touch on West March game. But I think now, because like I said, I have to kind of cut this one short a bit because I need to get up early tomorrow morning.
I have to get going too.
We're gonna save this topic for another day. So
Do you want? There's a few people that are new here. RPG Exile. If you want to search, if you look on the screen here, you can search at Table Runner. You'll find me.
yeah,
At 28mm RPG, you'll find Rick, and you'll see we've got a wide variety. One of the good things of our harebrained schemes to run in different game systems and different settings and different people running the game.
Very experimental.
It's very experimental, and that's a fair criticism. But one of the things that's good about that, in my opinion, is that it gives a broad spectrum. If you're more interested in Werewolf the Apocalypse, check out Phil's game. If you're more interested in fantasy, we've got some fantasy games. We've got some sci-fi games. We even have a 1975 Mafia game. So there's a lot of different systems that we're touching
based on Total Party Skills.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah. So there's lots of different things there. And I think we're trying to cast a really broad net to find people that are interested in character role play, like what we're doing. So, yeah.
So which game system have you guys found is the best for what you're doing?
We haven't tried enough of them yet. We're still trying new
Good
ones. We got a new one on
Good
Monday
answer.
we're going to try. So we're going to keep trying them.
I think we had success with really like most of them, right? Just like because like
Yeah.
and I think that's also something
You haven't tried D&D yet, have you?
We have not, but we will.
No,
we will.
But we almost like Traveler works very well.
Traveler does,
but
yeah.
and Total Party skill system work very well.
Very
Yeah,
well.
I like Total Party Skills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
He came out with a new game this week.
Yeah, some
game?
But
new
Is
setting?
it using a different system?
I don't know.
think so.
I think
it's
it's
more of a,
it's probably using the TPS.
It's the Cyberpunk game
Yeah.
from
it's like a Japan
6,000
animation
years
thing.
in the future.
Yeah.
But
But
the
I-
hardcover is like $65, maybe $70 for the hardcover. 420
That'd be like,
pages. What?
85 for Canadian, right?
Oh yeah, if you can even get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy.
But I think that's almost something we're kind of like almost trying to like system maybe doesn't like some system would be more difficult than us. We didn't like try Traveler yet, but we fucking did the Wendy's game, right?
we did Wendy's.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we did
Wendy's.
Wendy's
So
and lived.
We did Wendy's. We've done Castles and Crusades. We've done
we done the World Without Number.
We've done Worlds Without Number, so an OSR title. We even tried that.
We did Pendragon.
Numenera.
We did Pendragon.
Yeah.
There's
Currently
Numenera
with
game out
Numenera.
now.
Yep.
We're going to be running Easy D6 on Monday.
Yep.
So we're going to be trying that.
From by Jim Scotty. Is that
That's
his name?
GM Scotty's game. Yep.
Yep.
So we'll try that, see how that works.
Yeah.
But to be fair, when we look at these games, we try to see how can we use this game and still be in character.
Yes.
And so we will sometimes leave things out. Or,
Yeah, sometimes we trim some fat. Yeah.
I can give you a list of games not to use, like GURPS.
Oh yeah, we're gonna try. Rift's game. We've got that in the hopper.
Yep.
So there's lots.
Yeah,
Mr.
Rift's can
Sword.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not
So we're gonna-
not the next Monday, but the one after.
Yes, Bastard Sword's coming out. Keep on that. Yeah. So we're gonna keep trying these other ones and see which ones work better than others. And with the amount of games coming out, Cow Punchers, we're gonna do a Cow Punchers.
Yeah, I
game.
want to do Cow Puncher at some point by the Basic Expert.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we're just gonna keep trying out these things, and
Which is
see
not
which
an
one-
OSR game, as people might assume, because the Basic Expert is an OSR guy, but he made this game that I think is very interesting,
Mhm.
which is not like a OSR game per se, right?
Question from RPG Exile: We'll try MCDM product in DC20?
I don't know if he's gonna come. The MCDM product might
I
not
don't know
come
if
out
they-
before we die. So
Yeah, we may not. We're all kind of older guys, as you can tell, and I don't know if it'll ever be out in time. We'll
I
take a
might
look
not.
at DC20.
I might
They
not make
haven't-
it.
Did they choose a die roll mechanic yet for their game?
yes, but it's subject to change still.
It's still they're still.
They're gonna
whatever.
probably change it again like a few
But
times.
I could see us trying DC20. I know there's a lot of talk about DC20
Yeah.
right now. I don't have it. I
Yeah.
haven't looked at it, but
It's trending.
we'll take a look at that. We'll try it out.
Very well.
We could even somebody mentioned
I want
Shadow
to try
Dark,
Street of Peril.
Streets of Peril.
Yep.
I'm kind of intrigued by that. What's the fist one that BLG guys were
North
raving
Fist,
about?
like Iron
Something
Fist.
like something. It's like Fist of the North Star, but it's not Fist of the North
Iron
Star.
Fist, I think. No.
Yeah.
I would like to do
Yeah.
Space 1889, the original
Oh, there you
Frank
go.
Chadwick
Yeah.
There you go.
D6.
I
It was
own I
awesome.
own the original Alternity, the TSR space game, the 2D whatever that one is. We could try that.
Yeah.
There's lots. We're gonna try lots,
Yeah.
including 5e. I think we'll even try.
Yes. 5e.
I have to go, guys.
Probably sooner.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks, Sean.
I'll
Any
see you.
parting word
Yes,
before
you.
you go, Sean?
Huh?
Any parting word before you go?
Bye.
Bye. Crispy. Any last
I got
word?
No, but thank you very much for this. I
you for,
really enjoyed our conversation. I thought we were more or less on topic the whole time, and I
Yes.
was on the show, so my soapbox a lot. But yeah, good conversation. I hope it's worthwhile for those that are watching.
Yes. What about you, Rick? Any final word?
Yeah, I'm gonna be I'm gonna be taking a little bit of a vacay in a bit. And of course, Crispy's gonna be blessed with my presence.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it, pal.
So
It's
we'll
gonna be
talk
fun.
about that later, and
Yes.
maybe we can do like a show together or something like that.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
Yeah,
That would be
that would
really
be
good.
So
cool.
we had like this one last question by Go before we go. What do you think of game that doesn't fit for you role playing? Are they bad game, not RPG, something else?
That's a good question.
They're what they are, you know. I mean, D&D has its own kind of thing, you know, the 5e kind of thing. It's a game where you're board gaming, but people love board games, you know. It's if that's what you want to do, stick with it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to use imagination and build your character as you're portraying him and having a great time making an arc with your, you know, with what you're providing with the other characters, you'll get into the 4D role play. It's
I would say
yeah.
Just to add to you what you're saying, Rick, they may be decent games, but I would say that in some cases it's a stretch to call them role-playing games.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Sometimes they're more like sometimes they're gonna be more war game, sometimes they're gonna be more board game.
Yep.
I say some of those games are badly designed. Some of those games would do great computer game, but you know, like they should stay on the machine, right? Just like especially now that we have great computer game, like, you know, it's more valuable now than ever to separate the medium.
Yeah.
And to focus on, like, you want to have the game that you want to role playing game that you're gonna read by hand. You wanted to focus on role playing, and what's great with this hobby.
Yes.
If it's just about tactic and stuff like that, right? That can be done better in different medium. So
yeah, there's definitely some games out there that fight actively against in-character play. Like and that's
that is always going to try to pull you out, always pull you like in third person from top down, looking at a battlefield, like from like, you know, you're not in the mindset of your character. You're not seeing the world to the eyes of your character.
No.
So they are moving away from what a role playing game should be, right?
Yes.
From the quintessence of the role playing game.
Yep.
But thank you guys for joining me, like Rick, Crispy, and Shauner that left already, and
Thank you, Max.
join us live in the chat. It's always great to have interaction with the chat as well. Great comment, great question. Thank you for the people that watch on the replay later on. And
this Sunday we're probably going to get together for a session 0 for our Monday game. So keep an eye out. We'll most likely broadcast that live as well. So.
Yeah, to all our channels and stuff like that.
Yep.
So and then like Monday we're gonna play Easy D6.
Easy D6. A dungeon crawl in 4D. It's an experiment. We're gonna see how it works.
Exactly. Yeah. If we can open doors and go to the next.
Yeah.
There will be doors.
There will be doors to be open.
Even traps. We'll see.
Oh fuck. We'll have to check for traps.
Check for traps. Yep.
Yeah. And next week there's gonna be another Tear Off Your Skin. So tune in again next week. I don't know what's gonna happen. Oh yeah, I need to say that next week I was supposed to have a mini ginger.
Yeah.
Something come up, so that's not gonna happen next week. So we'll see about that. But so we'll
hopefully she'll reschedule. That would be good. She could.
Yeah. But we'll I'll come back to you about that. But I'm sorry to announce, like, you know, something happened, right? Just it is what it is.
It's okay.
But we'll try to reschedule.
Mhm.
All right, take care,
Right
guys.
on.
I'm ending the stream now. Have a good night. Bye.